This is A Few Good Fights, proudly brought to you by the MMA Movement. I'm Noel O'Keefe. I'm joined as always by Robert Palin and Sean Taylor. This week we'll have the big MMA news. We will fight your corner. We'll preview UFC Fight Night Ottawa with the great and powerful Brendan Dorman. We're educating young Sean, and as always we finish with Sean's weird news. UFC on ESPN 8 went down this weekend. Jacare against Hermansson. And I think a lot of people were surprised by this one. Rob, what did you think of the fight? Were you surprised in some ways at the performance of Hermansson on short notice, considering he's just coming off, short-ish notice, considering he's coming off, but stepping up in opponent and caliber in Jacare?
Do you know what? I was actually quite surprised because one of the things that I was talking about when we were previewing the card last week was that I thought that if Hermansson would have success, he would basically show his whole game. He'd show his grappling, he'd show his striking. And grappling, I mean, a little bit of jiu-jitsu and wrestling. But I didn't expect the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu to come into play. I thought it was just going to be a striking match, and I thought that maybe Jacare would have been able to land the better shots. But I think what we saw was Hermansson being able to use his full game. He got some takedowns. When he got on top, he wasn't really active on top, but he done enough. He landed some shots. And then on the feet, I compared it to a fight further down the card with John Lineker and Corey Sandhagen. It wasn't exactly the same fight and very different fighters, but it reminded me of that fight in a way that Hermansson was landing like kind of peppering shots. Yeah. He was just touching Jacare, and Jacare was just looking for that one big shot. That's what it reminded me of. But I thought Hermansson looked really good, and Jacare looked a little bit flat. I'm not going to take anything away from Hermansson in that performance, but it just looked like Jacare was flat, and that was probably just the doing of Jack Hermansson.
Yeah, like that's when you look at he's coming off the win over David Brand's guillotine choke. So he done that it was in the opening 2 minutes anyway of round one against Brand. So he was coming in fairly unscathed. Yeah. But to then turn around and take a fight on like 30 days notice or whatever it was against Jacare, it was impressive alone. But then in the first round, you could see, and everyone does this, and I'm guilty of saying it as well, when a fighter sort of throws combinations and doesn't throw them all into it, you tend to say Diaz-like style striking. So, fuck it, I'll stick with that pattern. So, his Diaz-style striking where he wasn't putting all his shots in, but you could see he was using a lot of Jacare's momentum against him. And was it the first round that Jacare, as he came forward, Hermansson landed a 5 to 6 shot combination, but you could see Jacare went down for the single, but you could see when he landed the first couple of shots that he sort of went, I'm landing clean here, and you could see he sort of turned the dial up to land a couple of more. But then, again, what surprised a lot of people was he followed Jacare to the mat. Yeah. But as you said, he sat in the guard, but what he was doing brilliantly was, and I think Cruz mentioned this actually in commentary, like Jacare, yes, elite grappler, but he does his best work on top. Off his back, he doesn't have that many submissions or whatever it may be. But like I just thought he was Hermansson, the way he rolled with him, he was constantly following his hips and not allowing him to change and keeping his hips aligned with him. And he was happy to stay in position and land some shots. The guillotine, of course, he dived on the guillotine as well. And as Cruz said, if you want to learn how to defend an arm in guillotine, take a look at Jacare's defense there. But
what I liked about it was that he committed to it. But then you could see once Jacare got out of it, or at least defended it, Hermansson knew what to do afterwards. And like the arm in guillotine is an extremely hard choke to get, especially on someone like Jacare. Jacare has seen it millions of times. And even if you haven't seen it millions of times, you have to have a serious squeeze and technique to get that technique going. Because with the arm in, you're trying to choke with the other guy's arm as well. So there's a lot more potential space to open there, aside from like say without the arm in, with like a high elbow or something like that. So I was just very impressed with Hermansson being able to show his whole game against someone like Jacare.
Has he, in some ways, he was the unspoken man really in the middleweight division.
Very much so.
And now all of a sudden it's like, ooh, like he's on a 4-fight win streak. Like realistically, who's next for him after beating Jacare?
I don't know, but it's the risk now of comparing him to Gustafsson because they're from the same part of the world. But it does remind me of Gustafsson coming up because nobody was really talking about him that much. You're like, oh, he's a good guy. And then when he was put against John Jones, everyone was like, he doesn't really have much of a chance. And then he went out there and put on a great performance. I'm not saying Jack Hermansson is the guy to kind of be that same guy at middleweight, but it does remind me a little bit of Gustafsson's rise, where everyone was saying, he's really good, but like, how good is he? And I'm sure he lacks in certain positions. I think we all thought he was going to lack in the grappling. at some point in this fight. I thought Jacare would have been able to capitalise, and he didn't. So I don't know who's next, but it's got to be a top 5.
Jacare, though, looking at him, like Jacare is now 39, coming on 40 years of age. Perhaps it showed that or is it? Would he be guilty of? You seen it, like, and by all means, don't kill me in the comments. I'm not comparing his striking to Ronda Rousey, but in some ways, because he's had such success on his feet of late as well, that has he turned into more of a striker than he is the grappler and submission guy. I know he has a lot of wins, both ways, submissions and knockouts. But
drops guys a lot of times.
He does, and that's how he gets it done. Like, you look at the Weidman finish, like, broke my fucking heart. But when he put Weidman out, he was losing that fight, and he just has that relentless will to win that he somehow gets it round. But it looked that way in was it the third round when he was really digging to the body? He was doing his best work, and it was really taking the tank away from Hermansson. But yeah, interesting. Where does Jacare go? Could be the end of any title run really now. He's only got the momentum back with that win over Weidman, but lost to Gastelum before that. So interesting one. But yeah, Jack Hermansson, he's really, like, sort of thrown his name into the hat there. And I thought it was a phenomenal
and 5 rounds as well, which is always nice. He's not like who am I thinking of? Ozdemir.
Yeah,
where we were kind of like, oh, this guy is very interesting. He's coming up, he's knocking everybody out. But we've seen kind of what Jack Hermansson can do now, and in an extended fight.
Funny though, because I was watching the fight on Sunday morning, I was watching it, and it was the third round that Jacare had such success that when I was looking at it, I was like, damn, it's such a pity for Hermansson that this isn't a 3-round fight, because he's won 29-28.
Yeah.
But then he came out in the 4th round and looked rejuvenated. And he looked excellent. So big win. Talking about absolute horseshit, Dana White was trying to say that this wasn't a feeder fight. In the co-main event, this was by all means an absolute feeder fight. Greg Hardy got the victory in the first round. Against an opponent that Dana White has questioned. He wants to see the 9 opponents that Dimitrov has beaten, and Dmitry Samalikov. I said it to you walking up to work. He looked like that guy. Did you ever see the guy who was injecting, like, oil into his biceps? So he was, like, looked ridiculously big. He looked like that, but he just, from the opening bell, he had no interest in being in there.
No, it just didn't look like it. And I guess you can say all credit to Greg Hardy, and we can't really say that he chose this fight. It's a fight that was given to him. But then you'd have to question Dana White and say, well, if you were anyway involved in matchmaking, should you not have seen the other guy's 9 fights? I know,
but he's not.
I know at this level, like, he's definitely involved in matchmaking. You know, I'm sure he's the last guy to say accept or don't accept. But how much he watches, I don't know. But, you know, if you really were worried about a guy, then, you know, maybe have a look before you put him in there.
2 co-main events for Greg Hardy that now.
Yeah, I know. And you know, he looked good for what it was, but the other guy just didn't look like he wanted to be in there. So, you know, what can you say? He also, I don't know if you've seen that, he came out and he said that he's the fight sports athlete version of what Michael Jordan could be.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Don't give Michael Jordan any ideas.
Dare I say the plumber?
The plumber.
Yeah, well, Hardy, for me, it's my question I'll post to both of you is when do you give him a sort of legitimate heavyweight? And who do you give him? I
don't know, because we've had this argument, debate, conversation before with Aaron Chalmers, and it's kind of a similar thing, except this guy's coming from an athletic background, but it's similar in the sense that he's a very inexperienced guy fighting on the biggest stage. So at some point you have to say, you're going to have to fight somebody decent. Yeah. But then on the other hand, you're like, well, you can't throw him to the wolves because he's had 5 fights.
But he is signed to the biggest promotion.
That's the thing. That's the word catch-22, isn't it?
Unless they keep signing plumbers.
I think Aaron Chalmers is doing it right. He's in Bama. He's fighting guys. He's
Bellator now.
Bellator now. Sorry. He's sort of learning his trade, whereas the UFC isn't where you want to learn your trade.
Exactly.
That's not it's not where you come up.
I was CM Punk.
Look where he is now.
Oh, jeez, throwing shade at CM Punk.
Honey dick.
Sorry, Phil.
Like Hardy. Yeah, you can only beat the man that's in front of you. And in fairness, when I seen him, man, I was like, holy fuck, this guy is huge.
Yeah.
But he was like a big friendly joint. He just didn't want to have anything to do with it. He did not want to be in there. And Hardy, in fairness to Hardy, he done what he done.
He's
going to have it. Like, Hardy needed that because after all the allegations and stuff, and, you know, he wasn't convicted, but there was a payment.
Although, did you hear his post-fight interview? And I know we're in the fight.
Fast forward.
I know we're in the fight sports and in the fight sports. What am I going to be da? In fight sports, and people are going to talk about things like this because it's inherently this. But when he said, I want to become more violent, I was like, ooh.
It was a stinker of a co-main event. Let's be real.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was always going to be that.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Wasn't a fan. But yeah, interesting is what's next from him. Who do you give him? Do you give him the likes of Andrei Arlovsky, who lower down the card, came off a very close split decision loss? Do you give him someone to that pedigree, or someone? I seen anything on Twitter going, just a picture of Derek Lewis said, just feed him to the black beast already.
If that fight was in Bama or Bellator, maybe Bellator, but if that fight was in like a regional card, you wouldn't really have any issues with it.
Exactly. Yeah.
The fact it's in the UFC. And
if that was a co-main event in KSW. Against Pudzianowski.
Do that fight.
Yeah, sign him up.
Yeah,
sign him up for that. Yeah. Mike Perry got back on the winning trail against another cowboy, Alex Oliveira. What do we think of this fight? Because me and you sort of spoke about it a little bit, Rob. So I'll put it to Sean first, right? Because a lot of people are saying great performance by Mike Perry. You can see he really has improved in aspects of his game. What did you think of the fight, Sean? Did you?
I thought it was a good fight. Like, I enjoyed it.
What did you think of
Perry,
Mike Perry
in particular?
He looked good. I thought Cowboy looked good as well. Thought they both looked good. It was tight. What's your issue with it? I haven't spoken to you yet.
I think what we were talking about
what are you getting
was that from what I've heard online is that I've seen that everyone was saying Mike Perry improved a lot. And me and Noel came to the exact same agreement saying that was the same Mike Perry that we've seen throughout the UFC the whole time.
Yeah.
As in, he's not a bad fighter, but I didn't see any huge improvements in many areas, really.
Yeah, like I it always stands out to me. We were talking with Brendan Dorman about Mike Perry before, and he was like, man, I'd love to get my hands on him and just coach him a little. He's like, because he has knockout power, he has whatever, but he doesn't do his setups, he doesn't. And I noticed that, like, there was times I noticed when he was, throwing feints, but are moving his head, but he was not in striking range. That head movement wasn't, and I don't know. It just he's phenomenal off the break. He always lands nice shots off the break and nice sharp elbows and stuff. But like for me, I think himself, he just went back to I need to be the aggressor. Like he was being a little cerebral in his last fights where he was thinking through everything and he was really trying to be become that technical striker. I don't think he is. I just think Mike Perry is a fucking brawler and he needs to just go that line. But like I said to you as well, I said if he comes up against somebody who's a technical brawler, or a technical fighter, he'll lose every time. Yeah,
like if you were to ask me what was the best I've seen from Mike Perry, it was his work from the clinch and exiting the clinch. It was the big shots that he landed and staying on the feet.
Yeah.
And if you asked me that 5 fights ago, I probably would have said the same thing. There's no huge kind of...
I agree.
Yeah, there's no huge...
I didn't see a polished version. And like this isn't...
And you look good.
I like watching Mike Perry fights. I'm not by any means, but I just thought everyone was going, huge improvements by Mike Perry.
So is that the caliber of opponent that made him look better then?
No, because I thought Cowboy brought the fight as well. And like, if you look at Cowboy's fight against Yancy Medeiros, it was similar. It was a rock'em sock'em robots, and this is what this seemed to be turning into, that type of fight. And I just thought Cowboy entered the fight and he gave Mike Perry the best opportunity to win that fight by fighting that style of fight. I was very surprised. It was a unanimous decision, all 29-28, was it? So it was the right decision. But yeah, it was. I
thought like early on he was having Perry. He was having a lot of trouble with the length of Oliveira, and that's what happened with Joe Ban. It seemed like he thought he was outside range when he wasn't, and he kept getting caught with those long kind of hooks. So that's definitely something he needs. I think he needs to improve on if he's going to make it to the next level. I'm not saying he can't, but I just didn't see the improvements that everyone.
I'd say take down the fence as well, because Oliveira absolutely elevated him and picked him up and slammed him when it looked like he was in on a Kimura to try and stop it to get away. But
fun fight.
Yeah, it was a fun fight, and that's what I almost feel like I always need to justify. I'm not by any means shitting on Mike Perry. I just didn't see anything in this fight that I didn't see in Mike Perry 4 fights ago, or anything more.
Yeah, I agree.
But like I would watch Mike Perry fight outside the chipper. Like I thoroughly enjoy watching him fight, and his little jig in the cage before Oliveira came in. That was
really good,
phenomenal. Glover Teixeira got back in the win column as well. Conor Libre looked like he was just going to. He looked faster and stronger in the opening stanzas of this fight, and
it looked like a younger.
Yeah, it was
athlete.
like, oh Jesus, it's a big speed differential here. But they were calling it in commentary from the first moment. Like they were like, if he can survive this early storm, what will happen? And he got him down, landed some heavy ground and pound, made him give him up his back, stretched him out, got it under the chin, and couldn't believe it wasn't a long tapping. So that'll show you the squeeze and Glover. Yeah,
I thought it was kind of a tale of two fights. The early on, the better athlete at this point in their career was winning. But then I just thought Glover showed how crafty he was on the ground, because some guys kind of get stuck in that area of, will I strike, will I grapple, and he does both very well on the floor. So he kind of opened up the choke with the strikes, and it was a pretty quick tap. So he must have a squeeze on him.
Yeah, and then he was saying then as well after that, I'm going to be around for a while. Yeah, again, 40 years of age,
fair play
Glover. So
and he definitely gets rocked in fights, but he doesn't look shot in any way. He doesn't look.
And he got caught there, and he done a little bit
of
the bandy leg dance, but
he does roll with the punches quite well. Yeah.
Sean, any hot takes on this one, or you just move on to the next fight now, please?
Next one, please.
Corey Sandhagen took on John Lineker. This is a fight that I was surprised they said split decision.
Yeah.
I thought it was.
Yeah, I had a score for Sandhagen.
I thought it was pretty clear that Sandhagen won it. What I really liked about Sandhagen, when he went back to his corner at the end of the second round, he had said to his corner, "Do I need this third round to win?"
Yeah.
And they said, "You need every round,"
which isn't good.
And I really liked that. I thought that was excellent. But how impressed were you? I think I said to you, and I'm not comparing them as fighters, but I'm like, he has the same skeleton and sort of a little bit of movement as Jason Knight.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean, yeah.
It's probably because the shorts are cut up and they're grey, and Jason used to do that all the time. But Sandhagen, I love the way he mixed up his strikings. He was constantly moving from southpaw into orthodox during mid combinations. And at one stage when he had Lineker up against the cage as he was landing shots, and I forget, a 3-piece in a soda, it was like a family box in KFC. He landed about 10 combinations. It was beautiful work. But I was hugely impressed by Corey Sandhagen, and very interesting backstory to his UFC debut and stuff. But before we talk about that, what did you think of the fight?
It's very, very good. Big fan of Sandhagen. I thought, as you said, his constant switch stance and kind of showing different looks to Lineker was causing Lineker a lot of problems because Lineker loves the lead left hook, and he just couldn't find a home for it early on, and that was probably based on the footwork and the constant switching of stances. So I was very, very impressed, and I scored it to Sandhagen, not handily. It was a close enough fight, but I thought he won the fight. He looked good. I don't know why everyone was booing. That was bizarre.
That was very I think there was a lot of Brazilians in the crowd.
Maybe,
there was so many Brazilians, but I was really surprised at the booing, because he even said, "I know you guys are all booing here," and I thought it was a great litmus test for him. No disrespect to the guys he's fought before, but it was a real, where are you in your career right now? And he spoke, he's openly spoke about, he trained with DJ Dillashaw and Muscle Farm, and Matt Brown and stuff was there as well, and he idolised Cruz, and he looked at Cruz's movement and
you
stuff
can definitely
like that.
see some of it.
Definitely.
Anik said it on the commentary, didn't he? He said he basically, there's definitely some look there, and Cruz said, I don't know exactly what he said, but he basically said, he moves a lot. So I'm not saying he's exactly like me, but he moves.
Good job he didn't idolise TJ.
This guy, although there's definitely some footwork there. You just want
to bring up EPO again, don't you?
I might talk about EPO.
You brought it up, not me.
What was I was saying about the interesting thing about Corey Sandhagen was he had a fight in LFA on the 19th of January, and after he finished the fight, he won the first fight. He won the round first fight. I presume it's ground and pound or finish, TKO, knee and punches. So TKO finish. And when he went backstage, he was like, the UFC wants you next week. So he took his first fight in the UFC on 8 days notice.
Wow.
After coming out of the cage of a fight,
wow,
that's very impressive.
That's
badass.
And he's also he has said he wants to get in there. He wants to fight as often as he can, make his money and go. So he wants to have a quick and sharp career.
Important to note as well, that was against Austin Arnett, and he won in the second round by a body shot. Very, very good.
Very impressive.
Exciting guy.
Roosevelt Roberts keeps his O with a unanimous decision over Thomas Gifford. What did you think of the prospect here? A lot of people are touting Roberts.
I thought he looked really good. It was the first time, they said it on commentary as well, and I said it last week, I was interested to see how he'd deal with Gifford's length, because I haven't seen a fight where he had to deal with something like that. and I thought he looked good. To be honest, like he's definitely a prospect, but there wasn't a huge amount to note in the fight. I just thought he looked very good, and Gifford looked good as well. But yeah, good fight.
When you look at it that way, like it's his second UFC fight. Fought in the Ultimate Fighter, got the win.
Nice call out too at the end.
Yeah, I fast forward.
I can't remember who he called though, so it wasn't that good.
So it wasn't
But
that
it was
good,
very
yeah.
well articulated, I thought.
It's like the Dairy Milk ad. Everyone used to go, I love that ad with the gorilla doing the drums, and like, what's it for? Don't know. They just like the ad and the gorilla.
Phil Collins.
yeah, they're bringing out a new album.
Yeah.
So that's the main card. Standouts happening on the prelims that you wanna hit up.
Jim Miller got a win, and I think he's the first fighter to get to like 32 fights or something in the UFC, something mad like that.
Jim Miller's badass.
Andrei Arlovsky as well. We touched on him.
Andrei Arlovsky. Yeah.
Andrei Arlovsky posted there was like the journalists how they scored the fight, and it was something like 9 out of 10 scored at 29-28 Arlovsky.
Yeah. Wow.
So he was like,
I need to rewatch that fight.
This sort of sucks. Not gonna lie, I'm not gonna give you a standout because I have the prelims recorded and not watched them yet.
Cool.
So I do. I will. I'll give a recap next week. There was Bellator went down this weekend as well. Bellator 220. Rory MacDonald gets a win over gets a draw over John Fitch, but advances to the next stage. Even though, and this is where I know when it's a draw, champion maintains his belt and stuff, right? I pose this question to you, and it's not in this stuff that you've put together, Robert.
Okay.
But my question I pose is, even though it is a tournament basis, right, and he has to defend his belt each time he fights, yada yada yada. But with a majority decision means 2 draws and 1 scored for the other corner. So the one judge who scored a winner was John Fitch.
Well,
and the other 2 judges scored a draw. So with the 3 judges gave a 10-8 round to John Fitch in the third. So for me there, I think John Fitch should advance because he is the only one that 3 judges thought won the fight. 1 judge gave it to him.
I think it's a good point. I don't know if they had some kind of contingency plan for this, and this is what it is. If the champion won, is that what the thing is?
This is my point. If this was, let's say, Venom Page and Paul Daly, and neither of them are the champion, and it ends in a majority draw.
I wonder what the...
And Venom Page was the one that got the nod by a judge. Does Venom Page advance?
I don't know what the rules are.
It is almost a bit of a safeguard if the champion goes through. That's a really good point, though, that if neither guy has a belt, who goes through?
Because for me, it's like nobody thought McDonald won the fight. Nobody that matters, and by that I'm not insulting anybody's intelligence watching the fight. I just
someone on Twitter is like
the 3 judges. They're the only. Unfortunately, when it comes to it, they're the only people that matter when this fight's being scored. So. It's about contention. What do you think? Comment is, should John Finch go through because he's saying that Fitch go through? What does he say? Finch,
like from American Pie.
John Fitch, because like technically 1 judge scored a fight to him. And then weirdly after the fight, Rory MacDonald really opened up to John McCarthy. He said basically he doesn't know if he has the same drive to hurt people anymore, and so he was basically saying he was holding back in some ways. He was triggering. Now this is where it gets weird for me.
I know where you're going.
Because it's God, and God's in his life now, but God was talking to him while he was in the cage. So I think maybe a couple of them Robbie Lawler shots, might have affected Rory a little bit more. Now, don't get me wrong, I've no problem people being religious. What you believe is what you believe, but I just mean mentally for a fighter, is that not dangerous going in there? Sort of, I don't want to be in here.
I'm sure he meant it on a kind of philosophical sense or something. I don't know. I'm not religious either, but I don't like them comments.
Yeah, it's weird.
I don't like it.
It's like a fighter talking about, I'm going to retire after
exactly.
my next fight.
I don't like that.
To me, it sounds like just retire.
Yeah.
Where I struggle with that and the religion thing is, it's legalized murder in there. You're in there to harm another man, and you're struggling to get in there and hold. If you're holding back, you're opening yourself up to more shots.
You see, people. This is another one. Jeez, people are going to be really in the comments this week. But this is one that I don't see it as you're in there to harm another man. You're in there to compete.
See, this is the weird argument, isn't it? It's we kind of had this argument, not argument. We had this discussion ish. It's like the martial artist argument, and then the prize fighter, the fighter.
Yeah.
And
it is a fight, but it's a competition.
There's some guys who will fall very much on the left-hand side. If you want to say the left-hand side is the fighter style, like Mike Perry, we just talked about him. He's very much that side, I think, as in, I'm going to hurt somebody and I want to fight. And then you have other guys, maybe Rory, at some level, he's a martial artist, and some level, he feels like he has to have this kind of instinctual thing to hurt somebody.
Considering he was called the Canadian Psycho and then the Red King, you know what I mean? And he's always known for his demeanour. He's just standing there.
And he did say, I want to hurt people at some point. So maybe that's the thing for him. Maybe he feels like he has to be that way, and now he can't be that way.
Also, in comparison, the Brave Combat Federation 23 main event, Abdul Abduragimov, said the same thing. He finds it hard to knowing he has to hurt his opponents.
The thing I will say about Rory coming out and saying it is it makes a change from all the bullshit you normally hear.
That's very true.
Yeah, greatest camp ever.
No, I have to say, I absolutely credit him for being so brutally honest. In that moment, like, I have to say, I've the utmost respect. My point being is, it got strange, like, when he's there.
I understand, yeah.
But when my concern there is, like, he's gone through to the next stage. He has a fight. Where is he mentally to come in and fight here?
Neiman Gracie, is it that he fights? Yeah, and he said that, my next move is to fight Neiman Gracie, which after them comments, he's basically saying, I don't feel like I want to fight anymore. Yeah, like, that's what he's saying in
Gee,
not so
I
many
bet
words.
You Bellator were going, woo, let's promote it. Hell out of this.
It's insane. It's worrying comments, and especially if you're his coach, Faraz Zahabi. I assume Faraz is still there. I know he moves back and forth, but if you're Faraz, you probably want to sit him down and say, like,
big time,
do you want to continue fighting? Or?
No, you'd have to have that conversation. Man,
maybe them fights took a toll on him. Well, they definitely took a toll on him, but maybe more than we expected.
But I was reading an article by Chuck Mindenhall about it, and he was saying, he talked to Rory previously about the Robbie Lawler fight, and he was like, do you take pride in your injuries from that fight? And he's like, yeah, he wears them like as a medal of honor. And then he's like, yeah, but at the same time, I wish my nose wasn't shattered. So, like, it is weird, like, and like Rory MacDonald is an absolute killer. Ironically, he has that stoic just sense of, like, calm, and that's scary. Like, I remember I told you when I met him and we were interviewing him in Belfast, and just chatting to him, he just has this air of, you could just, like, destroy everybody here, like, and he just has that air about him. So, credit to him for opening up and being so honest. Dana White said that Tony Ferguson is still not ready to fight. This comes in the wake of news that Ferguson's wife has dropped her restraining order against him.
Yeah, I saw Dana White saying he's not ready to fight before I seen that, but I don't know how, like, I didn't think when he came out and said on Instagram or wherever he said that, I'm ready to go. Yeah. Like, my initial gut reaction was really, like, you can't really be, and we don't know a situation really. We just know what has been said. So I'm kind of happy in a way that he's not ready to go, and he's not rushing it. And it seems like maybe either Tony Ferguson himself, maybe the doctors who are advising him, or the UFC's people are putting a block and putting a stop on Tony Ferguson coming back too quick, because it seemed like it was too quick, just considering the level of craziness, and crazy is probably not the right word,
but yeah, we'll allow it.
You know what I mean? As in, the situation was crazy, not the illness.
Yes. Dana said that he wants Tony assessed by the UFC's guys first.
Good.
It doesn't sound like he has been. It sounds like Tony's doctor said, yeah, good to go. But I don't know how legit that is. I mean, yeah, I could get my doctor to...
Yeah.
Just stop capitalising every word on their Twitter feed. That'll show a little bit of sanity in there. Just the effort it takes to hit that shift button every time. Tito Ortiz has announced his return to MMA and has signed with Combat America.
MMA retirement, innit?
Yeah, but do you know what? I seen somebody say, hey, Tito, I hope this has nothing to do about money. Why don't you just retire? Yeah. And he wrote back to it going, it's too much fun, I enjoy it.
Well, fair play to him.
And that's fine. I've no genuine...
Just stop retiring, though.
But yeah,
I mean... Whatever, do whatever you want. I don't care.
Yeah,
but it's just funny.
Fair play to him. I don't mind Tito. Do you know what I mean?
I don't mind him either. I just think it's very funny. It's like, I'm definitely retiring now, and then 2 months later, I'm signing with somebody else and going to fight again.
But like, look, he'd signed with Golden Boy. That was never going to happen again. They were never going to have another MMA event. So of course he was there going, yeah, grand. So just roll out somebody else that he can fight. You know what I mean? Like, get somebody else off the couch.
I do like
Tank Abbott or something.
Combat America's. Well, there's history there because Campbell McLaren runs Combat America's original part owner, I guess, of the UFC. But yeah, I like the way they said we're gonna find a suitable opponent for him.
Yes.
That was nice.
Don't mind that. I've been saying it
Yeah,
for
yeah.
years. Legends League, Rob.
Yeah, I know.
For years. Talking about retiring, Conor McGregor says he won't walk away. I love it dearly. If I am being honest with myself, I don't think I will ever be able to fully walk away from fighting. Everyone knew that, yeah. Like, it's no secret, mate.
And I mean, yeah, we've heard the stories and stuff. So,
But again, somebody commented on like, "Oh, make your billions" or whatever, and he's like, "Nah, this is what his answer was." He's like, "I just love fighting," and McGregor does love fighting. You seen it? See him in Crumlin last week.
What was he doing?
He was fighting in a
right,
boxing
in the box
match. Yeah. It wasn't the Forge.
I thought about the Forge.
No, but did you see it? The MMA Junkie even had it. Did Conor McGregor try and sucker punch or cheap shot his opponent because they come out with a touch of gloves and Conor throws a big left hand? But that was cool of him to do, like go and box in Crumlin, and that was kept under secret.
Yeah.
Like kept under wraps. Nobody knew. So when he walked out, like nobody knew it was Conor McGregor.
That was cool.
That's awesome. But yeah, look, we've said it. Well, I said it 2 weeks ago. I said I don't want to read about Conor McGregor on the front pages anymore. I want to read him on back pages because that's why we all love him, because he's an incredible fighter when he fights. And let's get back to that.
Yeah, it's just a little bit boring, like when he comes out and he says I'm retired and then comes back, 2 weeks later, or at least retracts it 2 weeks later.
And I had my first tipple of Proper 12 while I was in Jordan. Proper 12 and ice and Coke. It was actually nice.
Tastes like Coke.
No, but it was.
would you recommend to a friend?
Yeah.
Would you drink it straight?
Nice
and neat.
I don't drink whiskey neat. I don't like it because I
have
don't know.
any
I just don't like it.
Do you have any left?
No.
Are you a whiskey man, Rob?
No.
Yeah, I do.
I was there. I was there I was there with myself, Phil, Kieran, and Jason.
We should bring Carl Doran back for a special Proper 12 edition review.
But honest to God, like you could give me the dearest whiskey in the world.
Yeah, you wouldn't notice it. Yeah,
I would
just
know.
taste like.
Yeah,
I'd
still be putting ice and Coke in it, and people be going, "What the fuck are you doing?"
That costs 300 quid.
But it was alright. Proper 12. Yeah, it was great, and I wasn't like dying the next day after it either. So
that's what you want.
That's always a thumbs up from me.
Proper 12. It was alright.
It was alright. Stick it on the front page.
No, I thought it was good.
Or back page. Sorry, back page.
It was alright. Like as in. If I was in a nightclub and someone
was alright.
"Do you want a whiskey and Coke?" I'm like, "Yeah, get us Proper 12 and Coke."
Yeah.
So yeah. And we had 2 bottles technically because Phil brought one over and I put it on my shoulder. And like the 2 belts, I was like, "Yeah, champ." Nico
Too much
Montana
Proper
and
12.
Sean O'Malley, Augusto Mendez and Marvin Veretti were all proactively suspended for 6 months by USADA due to having trace amounts of ostrin in the system. USADA found that the tests were consistent with those of contaminated supplements. Paulo Costa used substantial assistance clause to get reduced USADA suspension for IV use. What?
I put that up on Facebook, and immediately, like within seconds, all the comments were snitch.
That's what it is.
That's what it is. It's pretty much that. So what was he ranting on? Other people using IVs?
It's a weird one because they found that it was a contaminated substance, didn't they?
Yeah.
So who's he ranting out on?
I know. No, they didn't. So he used an IV.
Yeah.
To rehydrate.
To rehydrate
No,
or potentially mask drugs.
Rehydrate. We wouldn't make an accusation like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I died there.
So he's a little rat.
Him and John Jones are in
him and John
Jones are in a little in your skating board. There's a little entrance in, and you go in there.
But that
fucking rats.
That is what I wonder. I wonder what the assistance thing is in his case, because like, is it like, oh yeah, we're all using IVs around here?
It was the nurse. It was the nurse. She
Yeah,
gave me the IV.
What do you mean we're not allowed to do this?
Yeah. Since when?
But he told me I could do it. He told me to do it. He showed me how to do it. You know what I mean?
Thanks for giving substantial assistance. You get 6 months, not 2 years.
Yeah.
Brilliant. But yeah, all the other ones, it seemed like one of those ones where they don't announce the actual drug test and then it comes out afterwards because they can fight in like 2 months or something.
That was the one that Sean O'Malley had come out on his Instagram and said, yeah, this is why I remember he got pulled from
Is that the
fight.
same one?
Yeah.
Is that the same one, or is this his second time getting banned?
I think it might be a second time. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Because the first one was for weed, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know, it's Sean O'Malley, but yeah.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Drug test. What do you think of the state of drug testing in MMA? Are you enjoying it every week?
Yeah, it's mad every week, isn't it? But it was always going to happen. In fairness, they're all on steroids.
Yeah.
No, it was holy lamb of God.
Jesus.
It was always going to happen.
Yeah.
As soon as they start testing.
Sorry, listeners.
Because there's always cheats out there.
Yeah.
And there's always people who will rat on cheats.
Yeah.
I think though,
It's what side of the fence are you on? Like, are you on the cheat, but don't cheat. Yeah, all you want, cheat away. But if you get caught, don't rat on everyone else. Do you know what I mean? That's what it is.
Luke Thomas had a video talking about it, and he was saying the same people who are coming out and basically calling people a snitch for using this clause are the same people that come out when someone tests positive and say he was always doing it. I know he was always doing it. So why don't you just tell people? You know?
Yeah, but like in fairness, it's not like you're a good Samaritan and you're wearing like a USADA cape. Do you know what I mean? Going da 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 da, and you go.
They do capes.
And it was like John Jones was shooting up in the back room. You know what I mean? It's like you've caught me. What can I do to get
Chael
off?
Sonnen snitched on him on John Jones on a
Under
Joe
the
Rogan
cage.
podcast.
Yeah.
You know that?
Well, Cody snitched on all the Team Alpha Male, didn't he?
Yeah.
And
You showed us how. You showed everyone at Team Alpha Male how to do it. Yeah.
Oh, Cody.
Not his brightest moment.
No.
But yeah, drug testing is going to be around forever, and you're going to get people who pop and like.
They're just way behind on what fighters are actually doing.
But the contaminated supplements is something that you're talking about. Carl Dorman bringing back for tasting. He's always said USADA should bring out their own supplements.
Yeah.
That's true.
And that way,
All
if
the
you,
UFC
But then
should bring
people,
out their own.
then people will be like, "Oh, look, they're trying to make a buck off."
but if
drug
you're
testing.
signed, if you're right, then not USADA. Then if you're signed to the UFC, they will give you, they will supply
They're
like
a
the way
sponsor.
the gym. What's it there where they all go? The UFC
Performance
gym,
Institute.
Performance
Performance
Institute.
Institute, yeah.
Couldn't think of it there. Jesus no. But like when you go to that, you're given supplements. Like if you're a signed UFC fighter,
then
there's
you're gonna
supplements.
have lads who are like, you know, I need to take something else because all these other fighters are taking the same supplement. I need to get a better supplement.
or because it's just not cheap.
Well, then
Yeah.
then it could be part of your contract that you can only take what they give you.
Yeah.
And if
They'd have to give it for free though, because if you start selling it, then you're getting
100%. The
yeah.
fighters get it free.
you're getting
and
into one championship territory.
yeah, they'd sell it to the likes of us who think then that we can become
Segue.
UFC fighters.
One Championship just announced to strengthen its one agent certification program. It lays out minimum requirements for managers and agents, including, right? So these are some of the terms and conditions. Currently a resident in Asia for at least 1 year.
Okay, that's getting tricky already.
No
Right.
prior criminal record. God, a few managers out there in trouble
That's
already.
6 gone.
No history or current ongoing matters of legal or lawsuit activity with any athlete.
No history.
Yeah.
Someone's been sued surely in the past.
Yeah, definitely. A minimum of 10 years of related experience in martial arts industry and must possess a college or university degree.
The sport is one even 10 years old?
I don't think so.
No,
I doubt it.
But college or university degree, like, I don't understand that. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
I say it would have to be a management degree then or
Yeah.
something like.
Yeah,
wouldn't
like, so does that if you have an art degree?
All
Like,
right,
you know what I mean?
all right, lads. I have an English degree there. Gives a
yeah,
job.
yeah, gives a job. Yeah.
But it's weird, and like
It's bizarre. This one. I
you
think.
said off before we press record, you said what you think the reason is.
Yeah.
Say it now.
I will say it.
Go on.
It seems like one championship have found some managers and agents that they like that maybe aren't given too much of the pushback in contract negotiations, and they're like, you know, pushing fighters towards these guys.
Basically,
like
it
Ali
means
Disease.
they might be able to give shit deals
Away
to
from him.
fighters.
Exactly, yeah. Like it does seem it's a bit fishy, like to me. And there's also a thing on it that says that they may
Ali is
revoke-
0-5 in that list, isn't he?
Yeah.
Isn't he? He's 0-5.
Yeah, it also says that they may revoke somebody's accreditation as they please. So
Yeah.
even if they fall under all them, they could be like,
Yeah, we'll give him 10 and 10 to
Who's
fight
Eddie
next.
Alvarez's manager?
I don't know actually.
Don't know.
But it seems like a lot of people won't fall under that. Like
Yeah,
I mean,
but
a lot
I
of
would
people.
presume, right, to be something there, like it's a middleman. They're paying. You know what I mean? They're greasing the palms. So you don't mind looking after your own industry and your own.
No,
you know what I
it's
mean?
fine.
Yeah. But I'd imagine to be like a middleman, like as in. So I'm your manager, Rob. You're a bantamweight fighter, right? And I'm your manager.
Okay.
Right. And we've signed for one championship.
Yes.
I can't deal directly with them, but I'll have to deal with their
Okay.
manager on that side that can communicate through me.
That's just complicating something that
Exactly.
doesn't need to be complicated.
Let's role play this. I'm the middleman, and that's one FC. You're the manager. Okay, I'm chatting with you. Okay, Cody
and
Garbrandt.
for context, I'm
Why did
right
you say-
beside Noel as well.
Why
Yeah.
did you say Cody Garbrandt? Do you
I'm
think
saying
you
he's
look like
coming
Cody
over.
Garbrandt?
No, he's coming over. I'm negotiating for an. All right, that's
Alright.
somebody else.
So
Demetrius
who am I
Johnson.
again?
Whatever. Anyway, you are the agent. I'm the
Right.
middleman that you were talking about,
Alright.
and one FC.
And
Okay, we're chatting. How much? What are we looking contract?
well, whatever. Right.
per
So
fight.
we want him to X
At least.
per fight, whatever.
At least. What
we
are
want
looking at?
the minimum of who is it? For Cody Garbrandt? did you
Yeah,
say?
yeah.
We want 100 show, 100 win at least.
Cool. We'll be back to you. They're looking for 50 and 50. What we go 50 and 50? Grand. They're only going to get 50 and 50. We do it.
Boy, are you trying to pocket the money there?
I don't know. No, because I'm asking for 50 and 50.
No, I know. But let's not track this out. Listeners will really get annoyed at this. Well, lads, stop role playing.
I'm just saying.
But that's how I would imagine it's working. They're trying to support some people, and yes, as you said, they're also trying to get things the way they want.
Chattery.
It doesn't give the fighters much of a voice either.
No,
it just complicates something that doesn't need to be complicated.
Anyway.
But, has its plus points. Means Ali won't be involved in one.
Just getting rid of Ali, Let's every point, let's get rid of him on.
Yeah, but
Do you want to make that Ali joke, Rob?
What?
Do you want to make an Ali joke?
Oh no, this is not my joke, but somebody said it on Reddit. They said this is MMA's version of the Ali Act.
Fantastic stuff. Time to get your fists up. Keep your hands high. It's Fight Your Corner. So this is the part of the show where Sean is the judge, jury and executioner. Me and Rob have to agree and disagree with a comment. How we decide that is we do rock, paper, scissors. The winner has to agree or argue for the topic that Sean gives. So Sean is going to give us a topic. We don't know what it is right now. So let's do our rock, paper, scissors on 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Bang.
Nice.
Cut you.
Well
Right.
done.
So I'm agreeing with what Sean says. So Sean, what have you got for us?
So this one was sent in by a listener. And it was after the Artem Lobov and Jason Knight fight.
Okay.
Do you want to remember the listener's name?
Yeah, I do. It was David.
All right.
He's friends with Rob. But yeah, if you remember rightly, the president of bare knuckle fighting came out and said he was taking half of a fighter's purse.
Mm-hmm.
Remember? And then it was found that you couldn't do that because it was But what I'm asking is the show and win method outdated? So is the idea of a show purse and a win bonus outdated?
Okay. What's yes and what's no?
So
you're for the arguments, yeah?
It is.
It is outdated. It's not.
Yeah.
So you won, so you get to pick who goes first.
You go first.
Okay.
Opening statements, please, Rob.
Open statement. Okay. So the beauty of the show and win bonus, and why I still think it should exist, especially at the lower levels, because we know that it's kind of been pushed away at the upper levels, which is fine because of all the other things that go into it. But at the lower levels, I think it makes sense because one of the really, really bad things about watching certain other fight sports that don't use this kind of system is that without a system like this, kind of a hierarchical system or a hierarchy system of being paid, a lot of fighters and a lot of fights don't turn out the way a lot of people would like to see them, and they're not as exciting as like them. I think that's one of the big kind of the good thing about the UFC when it first started, or at least when Dana White and stuff brought it up. I'm not sure what it used to be like years ago, but when Dana White kind of took over and the Fertitas took over, they brought in this system, or at least they continued this system. And I think we've seen so many good fights with this system, and I think it was proven over the years, especially with how those fights turned out, that it was a really, really good system for fight sports, that you got competitive, really good fights where guys were fighting for something. Because at a lower level, the fighters aren't really fighting for something per se, as in, if they have the guaranteed money, there's no prize at the end of it. It's, victory is the prize, I guess. But if you're actually fighting for something, I think we've seen firsthand how much that can affect the fight and how exciting that fight can be because of the extra incentive to win. I think that's the big positive of the show and win bonus.
Okay, I agree with you in some ways, and the reason why I agree, and it leads me to my disagreement, is when the UFC or mixed martial arts first came out, as you said, Fertitta Brothers, Dana White, when they done this, when they took over the UFC as SUFA, it made sense at the time because you were dealing with fighters that nobody really heard of, or they weren't known, they weren't, as I always would refer to, household names, so they weren't familiar with people. But now you're talking about, like, at that time, they were like, still to this day, you still have the odd fighter like Stipe Miocic who still works and stuff like that. But in order to make the sport better, you should pay your fighters better. The UFC makes so much money off pay-per-views, off advertisement, off this, that should be given down to the fighters. Fighters have training camps. So if you look, for example, like Khabib Nurmagomedov got 2 million, no win bonus because of what happened with McGregor. McGregor got 3 million, no win bonus because he didn't win. But for that fight, So if you look at that and then you drip down the card and you have Michelle Waterson got like 500 grand, or sorry, 50k to show and 50k to win. Felice Herrick got 40 to show, 40 to win. So Felice Herrick walks away with 40k after that fight. So she has a full training camp. She has everything from your coach to your digs to your bringing sparring partners in. That all comes at a cost. So if you want to have a fighter have their best possible camp, just pay the 80k, and then they can decide to bring in what they can afford. While you could be talking about a fighter that is on 40 show, 40 win, and they only put in a certain percentage of value into their training camp because they're afraid that if they were to lose this fight, they're leaving themselves in serious financial strain. They still have mortgages to pay, they still have their coaches to pay, they still have their training partners to pay, facilities, and just life. And if a fighter, like let's say a fighter was banged up in a fight and they put a large amount into it, they can't fight again for another 6 months or so. So they won't be able to then facilitate the next camp. So it's going to be a snowball effect. It's outdated for the simple fact that these are professional athletes now. They weren't when the UFC first came around. They were. It was only becoming the professional sport that we all know now. So they should be treated like professional athletes. They train 6 days a week, 2-3 times a day. They should be treated like that and earn their pay. It'd be like, imagine if you came into work, a normal Joe Soap, you came in, you'd done your day's work and said, you didn't hit your tasks today, so we're only going to pay you 50% of your wage. You wouldn't stay in the job that long. And that's the same with fighters. They should be treated with the utmost respect. How you respect someone is pay them their value and pay them what they are. Not dangle a carrot in front of them and go that way. You look at boxing. Boxing are paid upright in full. You talked about the great fights in the UFC. Look at the great boxing matches over the years because they got paid what they're worth and their value.
Open debate?
I have a few issues with your argument in the sense of you're talking about the fighters should be paid better and more, and I don't disagree with that. They should definitely be paid better and more.
Well, I didn't say
but
more. I just mean
or to what their value is.
So if it's a 40 show and a 40 win, that means you're willing to facilitate 80k. So pay them 80k.
Yeah. See, my problem with that is that if you look at any kind of job or most jobs now, if you go looking for any job in the workforce right now, you're going to have a base salary and you're going to have a performance bonus in a lot of jobs that you go for now. And I think the situation here is similar. I don't think that fighters should be paid. Completely. I don't think fighters should be paid less. I think fighters should be paid a good sum for their base salary, which is like what kind of our base salary would be in any job. And then the other part is a performance-based bonus, like in any other job. So I'm not saying you're taking money away from that base salary. I'm saying you're getting an additional amount of money.
In some ways you have a point, but in other ways you're so far off the mark, it's unbelievable. Are you telling me that like most jobs have bonus schemes, like you're saying, right? Mm-hmm. A certain percentage of whatever, depending on your company you're working for. But at that to be 50% is insane. So it's like if you take the average salary, because you're bringing up normal work, we're talking about fighting, but normal work to just absolutely destruct what you just said. If you took your average salary, let's say, is 30k per annum for the normal Joe Soap job, imagine you were only getting 15k. Depending on your bonus, as you call it. That's different. The bonus is a small percentage of your yearly salary. Fighters are very different. They don't have that job. They don't have the luxury. And that's why when they screwed the fighters as well out of sponsorship deals, the big sponsorship deals, that has a huge part to do about this. Fighting has evolved in itself, as in the fighters are very different, how they're true martial arts now. They're not a boxer or a kickboxer coming in, so the pay scheme should also evolve too.
I want to go back to your point of the 50-50
By the way, you have said this numerous times on the show that you think that this 50-50.
You can't go back to that. You can't go back
100%.
You can't go back to those.
You have 100% said
you can't go back to
that
those.
You don't agree with this.
You can't go back to those.
You said it's outdated and caveman-like.
No, I didn't. I never said caveman-like.
Episode 98 and obviously Fight Talk. That's exactly what you said.
When you're talking about the bonus thing, I do agree in a sense. Like, it shouldn't be 50-50, but I don't think that's the question. It's should fighters have a split of win and show?
But no, win and show is 50-50.
Yeah, but I don't think it has to be that way. I think it can still exist.
So you think it's wrong then?
No, I think no. I don't agree with that at all. I think you're building a straw man argument and trying to build it down. That's not what I said. I said I think the system can exist, a win and show bonus, but I don't necessarily think it has to be 50-50. I think it can be structured like any performance bonus. And also, if you're saying to the UFC, if we're going to talk about the UFC in particular, that why don't you just pay this guy 80k? They have a budgeted pot of a certain salary that they can give somebody, or a certain payout they can give somebody. So they can't just say, let's just give them all this money, because that's not how it works in a business. They need to budget it out. So they have, if it's two fighters fighting and they have a win and show bonus, they don't have enough money to pay those both guys all this money, but they have enough to give one guy more money based on their performance.
I can guarantee if Felice Hergood and any, I'm just using Felice because she's on my thing here, so it's not like the Michelle Watterson fight that I'm just looking at. If you got right there, they have a total of 180 grand potentially on the table to pay these two fighters. So it depends who wins. They either pay out 100 grand or 80 grand. So just dwindle that down to 150 and pay both fighters 75 grand.
I don't think a lot of fighters would like that. I think a lot of fighters strive towards this bonus thing.
Performance of the night bonuses and stuff. So that's already the incentive to get that for fighters. So let's just give them a flat base pay and agree that for you to fight, you're going to get paid 75 grand, 100 grand, 200 grand, whatever it is, $1 million, whatever it is, depending on your pay structure. There definitely needs to be a pay structure for the stardom that you bring to it and the eyes that you bring to the sport, and as you coming up through the rankings. But let's pay them a flat rate that'll allow them to put the utmost and their best into their careers, rather than if I lose this, if I win this. It could be, because fighters are like, you've seen fighters who've gone on losing streak that have got to go back to work. Then you've just some people who like to work too. But in order to get the best out of your fighters, you have to be paying them their value. And right now, this win and show bonus isn't that. They already have the incentive of performance of the night, knockout of the night, all that. That's already an added incentive. So they're pulling back and they're double bonusing you when it should be flat rate and then get a bonus.
But you're making the assumption that these are going to get this extra amount anyway, which I don't think will be the case. And you're also making the assumption that the amount they're going to get in their base is too low, when I think that you can still have this thing but be a little bit less.
You're putting words in my mouth. I never said their pay is too low. I just said you need to balance. If you're putting,
I agree, yeah,
the full on the table, give them the balanced pay. Respect them for what they are and don't be dangling. Can you imagine any other scenario in life where you're only getting 50% of something unless you've done something? You'd be like, fuck off, give me it all.
But I don't think the win and show bonus has to exist at 50%. I think it can exist at 80-20 or maybe 90-10.
So you're clearly admitting that it needs to be changed.
I never admitted
it needs to be you just said it should be 80-20.
No, I said you were saying it can't exist. The win and show can't exist. I'm saying it can exist. It doesn't have to be 50-50.
They have to evolve it, and they have to pay the fighters what they're worth. The sport is different. You get this in no other sport. You get win bonuses, incentive bonuses, like everything. Like footballers get paid on a weekly base or a monthly base, whatever it is.
Plus bonuses.
They get paid the salary, but plus bonuses. They have a strong. That's not. You didn't play well against Chelsea the other night, Dave. You let that goal in. You're not getting paid this week.
I guess it's the way you look at it. So if you look at it as, this is my salary, this show.
Alexis Sanchez sits on the bench every week, comes home with 350 grand.
Let me make the point. If you were saying, okay, let's say 350 grand, a fighter, say, I don't know, Rich Franklin, because we talked about him, say back in the day, his base salary was 350 grand. Excellent. If they didn't do 50-50, I don't think it'd be a problem. If they done 30% extra, you get 30% extra if you win, but you still get the 350 grand.
It's already there with fight night bonuses.
But that's one in how many fighters?
I can guarantee you would not sign a contract for any company if you were only getting the percentage of your pay depending on your input and whatever in the
closing
job.
Statements, please.
Not
lads.
a chance. It's a simple closing statement. I'll say it quick because it is. The sport has evolved. The only thing that hasn't evolved is the pay structure. Fighters need to be respected as professionals that they are, so pay them for being professional.
I agree with that. But I also think that...
Agreeing with too many things.
No, I agree with that. But I don't think you're arguing the right thing. I think the argument is that they should be paid right, which can exist under a win and show bonus. It doesn't have to not exist under that. It still can. But you're still paying the fighters what they should be paid for their show money. And then you're paying them extra, just like every other job that exists, or a lot of jobs that exist. You're giving them a bonus, just because it's
long-winded.
Just because you're giving them a bonus doesn't mean it's wrong. It's a bonus on top of the amount. That's what the argument is.
It's not a bonus on top. It's a 50. If you turn up and win, you get it. If you don't, you don't. It's not a bonus. It's if you win, you get extra money. Sean,
that was a good one. That question was very open to interpretation, and you both kind of took. I thought you both went at each other's points very well. Rob was arguing that it's not outdated, which isn't necessarily that it can't be used. I think Rob made a couple of good points, but I also thought Noel argued his points very well, that there is the money there to pay fighters more. I was actually leaning towards a draw for a while.
Oh, jeez, a draw. We haven't had a majority draw. But who got the takedown at the final bell to seal the victory?
I'm going to give it a draw because I struggled with that one.
Yeah.
I think because you both went at different perspectives from it, I'm struggling to pick a winner because I actually thought you both made very valid points.
Is it a draw, folks? Is Sean
let us
just
know.
on the fence there? Worth noting, though, he has openly said they need to get rid of
Oh, yeah,
Rob.
absolutely.
That was inadmissible in court, that point, because you get given a side in this argument.
I know, yeah.
And your point as well about there being 180k in the pot. There isn't actually 180k in the pot.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's what that's what I was trying to say. They wouldn't get paid.
So it's a draw, so it's 3.5 to 2.5.
Let me know what you know what you think of that decision.
It's a good question, though. Well done.
It is a good question.
Well done, Dave.
And it's very much open to interpretation, I think, as well.
Yeah.
So let us know what you think.
Let us know what you think. Fights they go down this weekend as well, so we'll let you know what we think. We're now going to be joined by the great and powerful Brendan Dorman to talk UFC Fight Night Ottawa. UFC on ESPN Plus 9 goes down this weekend. It's Raging Al Iaquinta taking on Donald Cowboy Cerrone. To break it down, we're joined by the great and powerful. We're not saying he's the best, we're just saying there ain't nobody better. B to the D, Brendan Dorman.
What up, fellas?
What's up, man?
Brendan, we've spoke about this card offline between all of us, and we sort of went, but I like the main event. Raging Al Iaquinta, Donald Cowboy Cerrone. If you look at, Iaquinta is always called, he wants the bigger fights. Then he's always talked openly about his disagreements with the company.
Yeah.
So he's getting opportunities of late. He's getting good matchups. Would you think this is the right matchup considering the win coming off Kevin Lee, an excellent performance off the back of the Khabib fight as well, to beat Kevin Lee the way he did? Is Donald Cowboy Cerrone the right opponent at this time of his career?
Yeah, absolutely. Because Cowboy looked fantastic in his last couple fights, I think, right?
Yeah.
Mike Perry at 170, and then what did he just beat at 155?
Alexander Hernandez.
Yes, that fucking young lion there.
Yeah.
So this new Cowboy's looking really good. And Al's obviously better, like I've been saying since he fought Khabib, way better than I think people give him credit for. Al, besides the Khabib loss, hasn't lost since 2014, I believe.
That's right, yeah.
He's very good. And I think a win over Cowboy propels him significantly. I mean, he's already 4, I think.
Yeah.
So he'd be Ferguson, Conor, or Gaethje, I would think. Those are the only fights that make sense.
Yeah.
I don't think Conor will take... I don't know if he's going to take any fights, to be honest, but I don't think he'd take that fight because it's a lose-lose for him, literally and figuratively. But I'd like to see Ferguson, if he's not going to get back in the mix. When he does, him and Al's a great fight, I think.
Yeah.
Because Al doesn't really fall for tricks. He's just been submitted, but he doesn't even tap. He just goes to sleep. He's tough, and Cowboy's got great jiu-jitsu too. It's a really interesting stylistic fight, standing and on the ground. I think both places, no matter where it goes, it's interesting.
I find it interesting just because I think Al Iaquinta and Donald Cerrone have answered a lot of questions that I think people had from them in the last couple of fights. Iaquinta, in the Khabib fight, I think we all agree that he put on an excellent performance, especially under the situation that he was in.
Yeah.
And also against Kevin Lee, people were talking about Kevin Lee being the next guy. He went in there and he kind of dominated him in most of that fight. And then Donald Cerrone, on the other hand, I think going in against Mike Perry and Alex Hernandez, 2 young up-and-coming guys, and beating them when everybody was talking
guys
about...
that put people to sleep,
exactly,
too,
and
dangerous dudes.
Yeah, and people were talking about Donald Cerrone, potentially his chin is going, or at least maybe he can't really handle pressure. And if you're looking at Mike Perry and you're looking at Alex Hernandez, that's what their game is. It's pressure. And he dealt with that and he beat them. So I think coming into it, I think they both have a lot of confidence coming in. I think that's a really good thing coming in for both of them.
With this one, it is. We talk about trajectory, upward trajectory and stuff like that, and I thought Cowboy was on his way down. I've always been a big Donald Cowboy Cerrone fan, as you said, Rob. When people tend to pressure him, that's when you're like, the blueprint was there.
Yeah.
Asher just put it on him, go to the body. He can't take a shot to the body. Now that blueprint is gone. Like they had that
the target has been reduced. At
Yeah,
least.
yeah. But he had the Ace Ventura moment, celebratory moment coming out of the Rhino's ass when he was armbarring Mike Perry. And he literally goes,
Like, where the fuck are you going with that?
But and then the win against Hernandez was ultra impressive because
very, very
Hernandez is, as you said, Brendan, a young stud. That was
it seemed like a terrible matchup for Cowboy.
we were like, man, the UFC are really, because when you look at it, the likes of Robbie Lawler, Darren Till, Yancy Medeiros. After the Darren Till fight, I thought the Yancy Medeiros fight was a really bad fight for Cowboy as well. He done Yancy pretty handy. Then Leon Edwards. That was a real flat performance by Cowboy.
I think Leon Edwards has shown how good he can be. He's good at neutralising guys.
Yeah. But Cowboy then, he just seems to found it. And again, his little kid, he sort of said it like about his little boy Danger. He's like, that's it. Like, you're taking food off my son's table now.
Yeah.
And you can almost see that flip in him. That's how he's approaching his fights now.
I think that's the impetus for sure. Like having a kid, it seems to be.
Yeah.
I mean, he cites it as the reason. So. Got to take him at his word. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy that bullshits. You know?
No.
But do we see, like, I know he just said that blueprint is gone. Iaquinta, he's got to pressure Cowboy and put it on him, hasn't he? Right from the first bell. Can't allow Cowboy to set the tempo and sort of do his get settled into that sort of Thai style lead leg attacks. He can't allow that to happen or he'll chew him up. So what's the game plan here? If you were cornering Raging Al, what advice are you giving him into this one, Brendan?
Strike naturally and calmly, and if you hurt him, put it on him hard. Because he throws strikes. I watched him versus Masvidal today, Diego Sanchez. I've seen the Khabib fight 100 times. I have it like memorized, so I didn't watch that. And I watched one more too. Oh, the Kevin Lee one again.
Yeah,
he's very interesting in the way that he picks. He chains strikes together rather. So he's almost like unorthodox. Whereas Cowboy's like super orthodox as a striker. Cowboy doesn't do anything fancy or flashy or tricky, or he never throws a strike where you're like, that's just totally unnecessary. You know when guys do like a cartwheel kick when they're losing? Like, would you just fucking jab? Jesus Christ. Like, he's the opposite of that. He's very fundamental Muay Thai, straight punches, hooks, low kicks, and obviously some of the best head kicks of all time, right? Because they're so accurate, and he sets them up nice. They're both dangerous to knock the other out. If Cowboy's still weak to the body, which seemed to be a trait that you couldn't shake to me, right? Because it's a nerve thing. It's like when you get hit in the body and it does damage like it did to Cowboys against RDA, right? And it was immediate. And that's not the only example, but that one was really fast. It's because, you know, all those giant organs like your liver, your kidneys, everything else, they're just bunches and bundles of nerves. So if whatever pathway, and he's just kind of a slight guy at 155, you know, doesn't have much meat on him. I think that's part of it. Him being thin, you know, and Al fucking digs to the body. So it's fascinating, you know, and for so many reasons like that. But if I'm his corner, what am I going into this looking at? Defensive jiu-jitsu and wrestling. Maybe not so much offensive, but he can do that already. But I'd say keep it standing, trust your power, but don't abuse your power, because you'd hate to see him blow his nuts. A 5-rounder, you know.
Yeah.
And it may go the 5. You know, I could see it ending in 1 too. It's a chess match of a fight.
Yeah.
Same question to you, I suppose, Rob. But when you look at if you were in Cerrone's corner, I'll put it this way. Considering you looked at the takedown defense of Raging Al against Khabib and against Kevin Lee, what are you telling Donald Cowboy Cerrone coming in?
It's tough one, because like if you look at Iaquinta's recent resume, like it is impressive, but you have 3 fights since 2017, and then before that it was 2015. He had a huge layoff.
You got to remember, he sold a shitload of property.
He did. He sure did. But like when you look at, say, the takedown defense in Khabib, and Brendan covered this, I thought, very well in his breakdowns of Khabib and kind of around these fights, was that it kind of didn't allow him to strike as much as he probably would have liked it, because he was probably thinking so much about that takedown defense that it was it was all takedown defense. His hands were low. He couldn't really. It was basically it was that stereotypical. The wrestler thing.
Yeah, as if they were in a legit like freestyle wrestling match.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
He was in the squat.
Yeah.
You know, like you can't create much offense from that.
Yeah. So and then Kevin Lee, I thought, was really impressive, because he showed good takedown defense when he needed it, but it was all striking. So, I don't know. I think if you're looking at Cerrone coming in here, similar to what Brendan said, I think do what Cerrone does well. Try fight out range. Try get Iaquinta to fight in front of him and not back up.
Yeah, I think Cowboy needs to be on the front foot to win this one. Like I don't think he fights as well on the back foot. He needs to mix his combinations up. I can see
him landing shots on the back foot.
I can see him trying to chew up the leg and then go high. The switch, as you alluded to, Brendan. Exquisite head kick finishes throughout his career, Donald Cowboy Cerrone. So I think that's the way he beats him for Iaquinta. And I know it's such a simple sort of, this is how he wins the fight, is being on the front foot. But that's kind of it. Like, as in, if he does, as you just said, as I was talking about, Cowboy doesn't really land very success or with any significant power, while backtracking or up against the cage. So I think for Iaquinta to get him up, beat him up against the cage and mix in takedowns, get him down. And
I'd be interested to see what the submission game looks like as well, if it does hit the floor, because Cerrone's known for kind of catching submissions rather than setting them up that much. Like, if that makes sense, he catches them in transition. Yeah, exactly. And that's what Iaquinta in that one loss to Mitch Clark a long time ago. So you can't really talk about that, but that was kind of what that was. It was a transitional submission.
Where he went to sleep on?
Huh?
That's the one where he went to sleep?
Yeah, the darts, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I'd be interested to see how that played out. But like, Iaquinta's training in Sierra Longo, so you'd imagine that his jiu-jitsu game is quite good, even though we haven't seen a whole lot. Yeah.
Defensively, from Matt Serra said that his defensive jiu-jitsu is incredible. He got out of a rear naked choke from Khabib, don't forget.
Yeah, it's very true. Yeah.
Sean,
no one does.
Have we missed that, Sean?
The odds on this one are interesting, actually, because obviously the way Tapology
close.
the way Tapology will let the people vote as well.
Yeah.
So the odds are priced almost in basically in line with the people's vote, which you don't see too often.
Oh well.
So Al's a favourite. He's 8-13, which is roughly a 60% chance, and 60% on the button have voted for him on Tapology.
Well done, bookmakers.
And Cerrone is 6-5, which is roughly a 40% chance, and he's 6-5 with the bookies.
That's interesting.
Now we've just found out where the bookies are getting their odds from. They're going on to Tapology.
We'll see if that's consistent down the card.
From Sean. His phone's always lighting up like a fucking Christmas tree, right?
But yeah, you just don't.
I'll get back to you.
You just don't see that too often. So it was interesting.
That's very interesting.
Joe, to you, Rob. Give me your pick.
I'm gonna go with Iaquinta. I think. I don't think he's been troubled that much against most guys. Jorge Masvidal now looks like a great win. Diego Sanchez, when he came back, Diego's on a decent run now, and I thought that win was excellent. And Kevin Lee, I was very impressed with that fight.
Brilliant.
And Khabib obviously was a good performance. I think Donald Cerrone, he might fall into he might fall into the old thing of just being outworked a little bit by a more active guy, kind of like what Iaquinta done with Kevin Lee.
Yeah, I agree. I'm raging out on this one. Man, I used to, when get past me about Cowboy, I'd be like, you don't even ask me, I'm picking Cowboy.
Yeah.
But I just think Iaquinta is a stylistic nightmare matchup for Donald Cowboy Cerrone. Just how he fights. He's got that Longo series just mentality of coming forward and doing that, and he finds a way to win a fight.
He's
just
tough.
He's game.
Tough, yeah.
Tough.
He's game as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And he's not shook.
Yeah.
That guy doesn't shake.
No.
Yeah.
You know, Cowboy does. Cowboy admittedly does. I mean, there's no shame in that. GSP was the same, but they're nervous nillies backstage before they fight. Al feels nothing. At least he's never shown that he does. You know, he's a fucking street scrapper. Like, he's got that kind of mentality.
Not MMA match, so I'm not comparing the fight, but you look at the Diaz-Cerrone fight. Diaz talked absolute nonsense to him, and that just broke him.
I wonder what Al
and
will do.
Iaquinta sort of liked that same mentality.
Remember the end of the Kevin Lee fight? He was just talking to him and saying, come on.
Yeah, so
that one's, I think, a little more personal than this one will be.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin Lee talked a lot of shit.
Yeah.
But I just mean in the cage, he'll try and break him that way, and that's how I can.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah,
that was kind of my prediction.
Will we do you want to? I know sometimes you don't like picking.
Yeah, no, I'll do it for this. I have no affiliation. Well, with Al, I do kind of.
Yeah.
Second. I think I see Al winning. I can see him finishing him.
Nice.
I think when Cowboy cuts to 155 is when he can't take body shots well. I think that's what Al does really well. And I think Ray Longo and I tend to think alike on a lot of things. Like I say about Faraz often, and Matt Serra for that matter. Like when I hear those guys speaking on like Plagiarists podcasts or whatever, like most of what they say I agree with. You know, And I don't know if that's like a Henzo affiliate thing, or I'm not sure. We're East Coast guys, but I tend to agree with their not. It's not just like on social commentary within the MMA community, like fight strategy, etc.
Yeah.
Like I just tend to agree with them, and I've obviously been to Serra-Longo a few times and trained, so I know those guys pretty well. I think they're going to come in with a really good game plan, and I think because it's at 155, I think Cowboy, it's a hard cut on him. I just don't see him being fast enough to keep up with Al's offense. I think Al's offense is a little too tricky because he's not going to try to be fancy like Alex Hernandez might, right? Where he was trying to be like Dom or TJ or somebody like that with like overdoing your footwork a tad. Crossing your feet as a baiting mechanism, that kind of stuff. You got to be special to pull that shit off. And Cowboy just exploited it with, again, it's not basics because head kick's not a basic. Yeah. But, he caught him well, but it was straight punching and head kicks. I don't see him catching Al with that kind of a strike. Like the way Al gets caught is with something tricky, and even then he just tends to grin and bear it, If Cowboy wins, I think it'll probably be, as you said, or Rob, I think you alluded to Cowboy's submissions within transitions, right? I could see that maybe happening, but you got to put him to sleep because that guy won't tap.
Yeah.
But I'll take Al in the third via TKO.
Look for body shots. That's what Brendan's saying.
Yeah,
Look for body shots
shot for sure.
Sweet.
Coming event, Derek Brunson takes on Elias Theodoro. If I'm honest, surprised in the slot that this is in.
Yeah.
Derek Brunson probably fighting for his UFC career.
Maybe.
Coming off 2-fight loss streak. Elias is on a 3-fight win streak. But yeah, this when I clicked open the card, I went, this is a strange fight.
Yeah.
And it's not too often you say that, but for 185, this is a strange fight. And by that I mean the styles of both fighters.
It seems like it could get messy or something. It could get not sloppy. Sloppy might not be the right word, but like messy.
I think it's the perfect word. It could be just like an ugly fucking blah fight.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they both fight. They both fight very strangely.
They come
very
out
strangely.
Like Lomachenko moving around and shit.
Yeah.
What do I know about fighting?
There? Yeah, it's gonna be an amazing fight. But yeah, I just think they fight very strangely, and I think that makes it very difficult to make a pick on. Derek Brunson is obviously an excellent wrestler, but I don't see like his entries into his wrestling is it leaves much to be desired. I think
he
hands
bends
down.
At the waist, not at the knees when he goes for takedowns. It's fucking bizarre.
Yeah, Elias Theodoro has good grappling, but again, I don't think
he's no ninja.
Yeah, I don't think he's taken. So I think it's going to be a weird striking fight that Elias Theodoro can use his head kicks, his range to get a decision. But I don't know.
Yeah, like the decision is the Elias Theodoro special. Like he's
goofy as
whenever he's lost, whenever Theodoro has lost, it's by decision.
This is going to be an amazing fight.
And 9 times out of his wins, he's won by decision. So this is one that if it goes, if you're feeling a little tired here in Ireland, go stick the kettle on because the fight's still going to go on by the time the kettle's boiled and done.
Although Brunson packs a little bit of heat in his punches.
Yeah, and his chin is up fucking looking at the clock constantly all day. The whole fight. How long's left in this round?
Sometimes he lands that silly left that he throws with his right hand not covering his face.
The one thing I'll say to Theodoro is he always finds a way to win. Like he's on a good streak at the moment, and he just has that winning mentality that he has some good wins.
He has some good wins. Like, actually look at his record. Cesar Ferreira.
Good wins. Yeah,
I'm just gonna shut the fuck up on this.
Who have you got?
I'm gonna go with Elias Theodoro. I just his magnificent hair.
He does have magnificent hair.
He's a ring boy. But no, he just has that way of winning fights. Yeah. Be it if it's grappling or striking, like as in both of them tend to fight with their chin way up in the air as well. Both of them get hit from that. So I think if it goes the distance, switch a good chance it will with Theodoro's fights. If it goes the distance, I see Theodoro getting the nod. If there's a stoppage, it's Brunson. But yeah, Theodoro decision.
Is there anything interesting you found in this one?
Yeah, there is. So Elias Theodoro has been on the cover of Harlequin romance novels 11 times.
What's that?
He has, I don't know. He has a shampoo sponsorship with Pert Plus and
That's
has
right.
appeared in movies and on TV. And the headline of that article is the main event, but main is spelled M-A-N-E.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Wow.
Yeah. So does that change your opinion of the fight, Brendan?
In that case,
With no
I'm all in.
with no dandruff, how can he lose?
holy
What's the
fuck,
odds?
Who gives a
Uh,
shit?
Brendan, shut up. What's the odds?
So
No,
Derek-
I mean, I'm not.
Yeah.
You, Sean. I'm just saying, like, that has no
It does.
permanent.
It
Yeah.
does. It pays the
It's
bills.
the key to the fight, really.
Yeah,
Derek Brunson 8-11, Elias Theodorou even money.
that makes sense. Bookies are on. Yeah.
Yeah. And
That's,
there's
that's
a big
my Plant Ally break.
Brunson has a 6-inch reach advantage as well, which is interesting because they're basically the same height.
Yeah, they look very,
I
very
think
similar.
I'm going to take Brunson with landing his ugly left hand.
So you think he'll stop him?
Yep.
Elias has never been stopped.
No?
Yeah, like it's like if you're a judge, don't go take a piss when Elias is on because you're working. You know.
Oh. Okay. I'm still going with something stupid.
Okay, enough piss has been taken.
Well, yeah, no has. Great fight. Cub Swanson
Can't
takes on
wait.
Shane Burgos
I like this.
underneath in the featherweight division. Cub Swanson. Cub, I totally went Chris D'Elia there. Hey babies. Yeah, Cub is in a weird position. Like,
Yeah.
his 3 losses, so you go, he's currently riding a 3-fight loss streak, but it was against Moicano, Frankie Edgar, and Brian Ortega. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So it's
killers.
like 3 absolute fucking killers.
Yeah.
So this is a clear step up in class for
Oh, yeah.
Shane Burgos in this fight, like as in Cub. But you know, Calvin Catter is the loss in his career. So if you look at that, you know, Cub Swanson, I'd imagine is the favourite here. But where is Cub in his career? Well, you know, it looked like he was cut from the UFC for a while. That all happened where it looked like he was gone, and then he was back on the roster. But yeah, coming off 3 losses, but they're 3 losses against legit fighters. So Cub, I always enjoy watching Cub Swanson fight. Jesus, that Doho Choi fight, woo! But yeah,
That's one of the best ever.
Yeah.
That's one, like, especially like kind of mid card fight too. You know, it wasn't a high stakes fight.
But a moment ago you said about Donald Cowboy Cerrone that he doesn't throw sort of crazy stuff. You wouldn't say the same for Cub.
Throw crazy stuff.
Yeah, but Cub sets it up nicely. Talk to what do you expect, or what's your thoughts coming into this one that you think you're going to see from Cub, and where is
Can
he?
I ask
in
a
his
question?
career?
Can I
Yeah.
ask a question
Go
really
on.
quick?
Sorry.
Because this relates to it. This relates
Yeah,
to kind of your question.
I remember the question.
Yeah,
Yes.
but this relates to it because this was something that I was thinking about, and something that people are always talking about. Shane Burgos about is that a lot of his defense, in terms of striking, is a lot of head movement, kind of with his hands down in a way. Head movement. How does that factor in when you have a guy who throws really unorthodox strikes like Cub Swanson? If your main defense isn't really hands up, moving away from strikes, but head movement in the pocket.
Technically,
Yeah,
okay, you need to have amazing reflexes.
yeah.
And if you don't, then you're gonna get caught. But here's the caveat, and this will tie into I think what Noel wanted me to get at, which is where is Cub? Where is he skill wise right now? Has the game caught up to him, or has age caught up to him? He's rocking a mustache to make himself look 55 years old. That's not helping. If we're being honest, he looks like Raleigh Fingers from the Yankees back in the 70s.
I don't get that reference, but I'm gonna Google it right now.
Yep, you'll see what I mean. Raleigh Fingers, real name. Cub in his
shit.
prime, about as entertaining as anyone, right?
Sorry, I just googled the Rowdy Fingers. Yeah, sorry.
So Cub's super agile, and I mean I've seen him throw like a 6 into a 10, like a right uppercut into a right high kick. You know, like a bolo style. Like he's so fucking creative, man. So if you're a low hand guy, fucking Roy Jones again. Roy Jones was like a low hand guy, right? He was a low hand guy.
Yeah.
But his reflexes were so astonishing that it was a baiting mechanism, right? So his hands are low. You see this pathway to his chin with your right hand, and he's slipping and hooking over it. You know, so I'm here, and people would throw right hands, and he would back up, slip over it, throw the right through. You know, like it was, but his reflexes were ungodly. I don't know that we're going to be seeing ungodly reflexes here. So I think it favors Cub that this guy's a hands down evasive type. You know, Cub struggles more against like an Ortega who shoulder rolls, you know? Because it's like there aren't the openings for him to then become creative. Because he feints low to come high or feints high to come low. Cub's always about like level change feinting and then chaining a few together. And he's a Greg Jackson forever guy, so he doesn't pot shot much. Greg Jackson's all about chaining your strikes, minus with John Jones. But I think John gets most of his striking thoughts from the guy with one eye there, Winklejohn.
Yeah.
So
accurate.
I'm taking Raleigh Fingers.
I'm gonna take Raleigh Fingers too, based on that. That's the question.
Guess what? It's 3 fingers and she's happy. Cub. Yeah, I'll go with Cub.
Jeez, it's 3 fingers and
3 fingers and she's happy. What? Raleigh Fingers.
Yeah. Continue.
Yep.
I'm going with Cub. I never back it. Cub is one of my and it's a standout. He's one of them that I'll always back. I believe I backed him in his last 3 defeats as well. I just absolutely love.
So confidence.
I love Cub. But I don't think it's caught up with him. I just think he's fought absolute killers in his last few fights. And you know that Artem fight had, you know, it's after effects after fighting Artem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The GOAT.
Just fought the GOAT. So
anything interesting? What's the odds and all that jazz?
Yeah, so Noel went with the throwing off shit at the wall thing with Cub.
Yeah.
He's opened some sticks in this fight. Cub actually has his own range of belts that he sells. So if you want to buy into
his fucking
he's coming for the belt.
His stuff is deadly actually.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah,
his own range of belts.
I actually like
What
Cub's
does he
gear.
sell? What?
Belts.
His own range of belts.
Belt?
Leather belts.
Yeah, belts like you put in your jeans
Why?
and stuff.
Yeah, and he sells all baseball caps and all.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Cub. It's like a little Cub.
What's it
Actually,
called?
I don't know.
Cubs belts.
Wait. Cubs? Am I fucking out? I'm either crying because I'm laughing or the allergies. I don't know.
Yeah.
So Cub Swanson sells leather belts to other humans.
Yeah.
Do I have this right?
Yeah. That
is fucking bizarre,
Yeah.
to say the least.
Anyway,
Why'd you sell boxing gloves, stupid?
Cub
What
Swanson
the fuck?
brands.
There is no correlation.
No.
0. I don't see it.
Killer Cub, it's called.
Wear it to
Yeah.
the ring over your fucking garment.
and he's coming for that UFC belt.
Yeah.
So
So there's the relation.
There's the relationship there. Yeah, 6-4.
If you can't win a belt, just make your own.
Make your own.
He's 6-4, and Shane
that
Burgos
leather?
is 1-2. I'm gonna go with Cub as well.
Yeah,
6-4.
Yeah.
The,
Nice. Underdog.
the name of it is Killer Cub. That's what Sean just pointed out there. He says, I started jiu-jitsu and I was going to wait and get me black belt over the years. But then I
Just
went down
bought
to the shop and they sell them. So I was like, I'll have a black belt, please. And then I got myself like little white masking tape. So I put 4 tips on it as well. So now I'm 4-tip black white belt. Like,
I
yeah,
got a red belt. You know.
That's what I'm doing. Fuck it. Like, what's the point in spending all that money on like fees
time
and
and all.
training and getting sore and stuff? Nah, fuck that. I'm a black belt.
Insightful analysis here
mine's
with a
more
few good fights.
Yeah.
Grapple.
This breakdown has gone a little weird.
Yeah.
Bracatona takes on Mirab Davishvili. Yeah, that's what I said. I like Brad training out of SPG here in Dublin. Lovely super guy. He's Canadian, of course he is, but great fighter as well. Like he's coming off. He won the Ultimate Fighter. And you were saying, Rob, leading up to this, that strangely he's the big underdog in this fight.
Apparently so. Sean will let us know if that's actually accurate. But I heard somebody saying he was an underdog, which I was kind of surprised about. Yeah, I thought he was favoured as well. I guess what the problem here is that he's been taken down a few times in his last couple of UFC fights, and Davishvili is a wrestler by trade, I guess. So that's probably where it comes from. But I like Brad Katona here. I think he's really, really good everywhere. I think he's good everywhere. And even if he gets taken down, his guard is pretty good. He can get back to his feet. I see him win this fight. Yeah.
It was the line there, young Sean.
Yeah.
The line is, I can't get the actual, our fractional odds, but they're on Tapology, so we're going American for this one.
Okay.
Katona is plus 120.
Ooh.
Is that around 6-5, Brendan? Is that right?
He's plus 120.
Plus 120, yeah.
That's like a barely underdog.
Okay. And then Jashvili
Yeah.
is minus 150.
Oh, so that's a kind of a pick.
That's a barely favorite.
Yeah.
We still do underdog.
The way you were saying
But
to me, I was
maybe
like, let's
moved.
go out and back Katona. Like,
Yeah,
stick
yeah.
the mortgage on him.
I think what Rob's point was, what's interesting
Yeah,
here
here
is
we go.
the fight predictions from the Tapology community. 80% have voted for Katona and 20 for Yashvili.
Even though it's a pick 'em with the bookmakers.
With,
so.
yeah, the bookies have it
Yeah.
to pick 'em. But yeah. And that's from 440
But
votes as well.
that's all, folks. Do you think that is more so
That's good.
because people know Katona after
Maybe.
coming through the Ultimate Fighter?
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, if odds are what they say they are,
Yeah.
they say they make odds dependent upon where the action's
The
going.
money's gone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the money. Yeah,
I doubt there's too much action going on this fight, though. To be fair, like I like both. I like Katona, but I doubt
Billions.
this guy is
Billions.
throwing down fucking
Yeah.
bucks on this fight.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's your pick?
I'm gonna go with Brad Katona because he's eventually gonna come in the show, I'm sure, and he's
Yeah.
a lovely guy. And his missus is fighting at Cage Legacy. That'll be
Katie Saul.
Katie Saul. I'll be
Turned
announcing her
Canadian
or
there for a second.
commentating her.
Very good.
Yeah, I'm going with Brad Katona on this one.
Sure.
Yeah.
Brendan's
Go
really
ahead, put
interested
Brendan.
in this one.
Sweet.
Does Brad Katona sell belts? No.
No.
Okay.
This is a heavyweight fight.
Sells
Walt
bracelets.
Harris taking on Sergey Spivak. Spivak is 9-0 Ukrainian killer. So are the
Yeah.
UFC not giving another layup to a fighter here? Is Walt Harris just being sent out to get destroyed by this young Ukrainian?
I haven't seen a lot of Spivak. I watched some of his highlights, and he does look pretty good.
Yeah.
He's very dark
Yeah.
on the website.
Oh yeah. He's the shadow.
What's interesting here as
Yeah.
well on
Man
Tapology,
of shadow.
his reach is not available. So
Oh.
who knows? You could come
They
in with
didn't have a fucking measuring
I don't know
tape
what
that
the
could
fucking
do
guy
it.
looks like.
Yeah, he could
you
come
know?
in with. They have a picture of him on Tapology, but for all we know, he could have 300 centimeter reach.
yeah.
Not available.
But he's 9-0, four
He has a bear on his chest.
4 KOs
Yeah.
and 5 submissions. So he's a fight finisher.
Yeah.
From the
he's-
Ukraine, he's
yeah.
another Eastern Bloc fucking guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
I'm
caught.
picking him on that alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His
Yeah,
his
I'm the
gym
same.
is called
He's
Polo
a-
Bear Team as well.
Yeah.
Polar bear team.
He's
Polar
called
bear
Polar
team.
Bear, yeah.
I'm gonna go with that guy.
But when you think about it, like Harris is really on a, you could say he's on a 3-fight win streak because he was on his way to beating Mark Godbeer, and then an illegal kick in the rash moment of the finish got him DQ'd. But yeah, it's I'm gonna go with the Spivak here again. Big fucking crazy Ukrainian, fucking 265, and he's big, like he's big, 6'3".
You say
Big
big
man.
again. I'm gonna start getting
Big.
more
He's only
I want to get
but-
that point.
No,
big,
he's
fucking
big.
crazy
Especially
Ukrainian.
now
Is a fucking
before
big.
he's
But he's only a
Pretty
kid,
fair.
like he's only 24 years of age. Like you
break,
don't
yeah.
see that many heavyweights at that age because they're normally fully grown ass
Yeah, yeah.
men. So like he's 20,
What's his height, bud?
6'3".
He's 6'3".
Yeah.
And what is he? What are they?
His
listed
last
weight?
weigh-in was 241.
4-1.
At 6'3".
Yeah.
He might be in shape.
No, he is in shape.
Yeah,
You
he
guys
look-
seen him? Is he in shape?
Yeah, he's in
he
shape.
looks like it. Yeah.
All right, he's gonna fucking smoke him.
Yeah.
There
Is
you have
he
it,
in
folks.
shape? Is he Ukrainian?
Yeah.
Fucking smoke him.
I'm serious. Yes, those things
Yeah.
matter.
No, I
Oh,
agree.
absolutely, they matter.
I absolutely agree. But yeah, that's the card. That's the main, the bones of it.
Just at a interest,
Yeah.
Spivak is 5-4 as well. He's an underdog.
Oh shit.
he's an
So, yeah.
underdog.
Yes.
Here, put the mortgage on it. The mortgage is on it.
Brad Katona, Spivak, double.
Lomachenko is from the Ukraine, by the way.
So there's your
So
link
maybe he'll
up.
come out and he'll be the Lomachenko of the night.
Here we go.
I doubt it at heavyweight.
Heavyweight
Imagine
fighting.
the twinkle
one
toes.
can dream.
Canadian Tire Centre. You'd come up with a better name for your venue, wouldn't you?
What?
Canadian
Canadian Tire
Tire
Centre.
Centre.
Brendan, speaking of Lomachenko there, can I ask you a quick pick for Canelo Jacobs on this weekend as well for anyone that follows boxing? Quick pick.
Canelo because he's the Conor McGregor of boxing, and it'll go to decision.
Okay. And do you think he actually will deserve the decision?
No.
I think I kind of like Jacobs in it, but yeah, I agree with you.
I think Brendan does too, but he just said that
Yeah,
he won't
I
win because
agree.
it's Canelo.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, did you watch his first Triple G fight?
Yeah,
That
no,
was
he
fucking
lost it. Yeah.
Disgusting.
A robbery.
I thought he
That
would.
was in my lifetime. That's up there.
Yeah.
It was
Very
shocking.
bad. Very bad.
It was awful.
Yeah. But Brendan, as always, an absolute pleasure talking to you, my man. And get over to the channel and get them 300 views back for Brendan. Get more. If you want to get learned, go and watch the Style Bender against
Yeah, I think
Gastelum.
I'm proud of it. Like I'm proud of. I'll after I make a video, sometimes I'm like, nah. I rarely watch them. I watch them back.
Mm.
I'll do it once as a proofread kind of thing.
Yeah.
That one's got rewatchability, and it's 17 minutes long. There's so much there. Watch it twice. Watch it fucking 3 times. Pause the bitch.
I'll watch it twice.
Now, what you do is watch it once on your laptop, then watch it on your iPad, and then watch it on your mobile device.
Yeah.
3 views.
Create a fake account, talk shit to me.
Yeah.
Whatever you gotta do.
Get your mum to
Yeah,
watch
because
it.
Brendan doesn't react to comments on the channel at all.
Never,
Yeah,
never. I'll comment on anyone.
Doesn't
I
get
don't give a
triggered
fuck.
whatsoever. But Brendan, absolute pleasure talking to you. I'd say enjoy the fights, but you'll probably watch them on MMA Core the next day. But pleasure, my man, and big shout out to Sugar Sean O'Malley. T-shirt there, repping.
Love that guy, man. That's my boy.
Sweet.
He'll be back soon.
Until next week, my friend.
All right, guys. Always a pleasure. Love
Winter
you.
is coming. It's that part of the week where Sean takes out the school bag, takes out the homework. It's educating young Sean. So, Sean, I was away because I travelled the world commentating. I was away. I wasn't here last week and I was moving house, so I was exhausted. And Rob gave you an interesting fight. Bob Sapp against Nogueira.
Yeah.
What do we think?
I'd love to see a list of what Bob Sapp was on. Jesus Christ, that man was huge.
A healthy
fucking,
diet.
Fucking jacked at like 350 pounds. Jacked.
Mm.
It clearly wasn't an EPO anyway, because he was gassed after 5 minutes. 10-minute rounds into
Stepping
him.
in between the ropes, he was fucked.
Yeah. 10-minute rounds into him. You seen the couple of stoppages. There was a cut, and he was over in his corner, blown out of his arse.
Yeah.
But that man is huge. The first minute of the fight, Big Nog shoots for a takedown, and he just suplexes him to the ground.
Yeah. On his
I was
head.
like, Jesus Christ, that was a neck breaker.
Yeah.
Not the most technically gifted human, to say the least. And Big Nog just struggled to even. It's one of them where you're like a jiu-jitsu specialist against like a total an athlete, like.
Yeah.
But he was just too big. He couldn't even get his arms around him.
Yeah.
It was mad. Yeah.
Out of 5 championship rounds. Now,
Um,
as in now, what I'm going to say, because we always say this, and you tend to score out of 4 or 5. So let's get the scoring criteria a little correct. As in, caliber of fight has to come into how good of a fight it was, how much you enjoyed it,
Yeah.
and how much of a sadistic bloodbath was it for you? Because Sean likes a little bit of blood.
Yeah.
So they're part of your scoring criteria. So how good was the fight? Would you recommend somebody else to watch it? Yada yada yada. 5 championship rounds. What are you getting at?
The fight wasn't very good, to be honest.
Well, did you feel it was a last minute panic by Rob and Tapology?
No, I don't think so.
No, it wasn't.
But the freak show element of it brings it up. It's peak Japanese MMA.
That's what I was going for.
That's Japanese MMA.
Yeah.
I was going for freak show.
Not a massive bloodbath, but I'll give it 3.
3.
Just for the freak show element.
It was a
'cause
suplex.
it
The
was-
suplex was the.
It was hilarious to watch.
Yeah. By the way, fun fact, you might like this, that Bob Sapp and Mike Tyson had a few confrontations, and there was talks of Mike Tyson and Bob Sapp potentially fighting in
Jesus.
kickboxing, I think, at the time.
He threw a kick in the fight, Bob Sapp.
Yeah.
I seen it coming 2 years ago. Fucking hell.
Still hasn't landed.
Yeah. Big deal. It
Um,
was a big deal, though.
yeah. So what should I say? 3 championship rounds.
3, yeah, just for the freak show element.
Right, Rob. I know you are studying hard to pick educating young Sean fight for this week. So Rob, what have you got for us?
I have a fight that okay, we'll just say it. Noel gave it to me. He mentioned it earlier. He said he was going to give it to you, but then I was like, oh, I'll take that one because he's not doing it. It was UFC 79. It was a fight that I think everybody wanted to see for probably about 6-7 years, maybe more. It was Chuck Liddell versus Wanderlei Silva, co-main event of UFC 79.
Cool.
The Iceman. Have you watched any of the Iceman?
I've seen some of Chocolate Dell, yeah.
Oh, that's great. My fight is Cain Velasquez against Junior Dos Santos. This took place a UFC 155, and that was for your maths. That was 2012. It's mad, isn't it? Thinking Cain.
That's insane.
So backstory to this was they were the first fight ever, the main event on Fox. Was it Fox when they fought?
When they signed with Fox.
So Cain Velasquez and Junior knocked Cain out in the first minute of the fight. So this is the rematch at UFC.
I was going to say thanks for the
155.
spoiler.
yeah.
No, it's definitely.
So enjoy it.
So this is the rematch.
Yeah.
So that's Educating Young Sean. So report. I have a feeling we could be coming back with 4s and 5s next week.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But let's move it on to where we end the show every week in the wonderful world that is Sean's Weird News. Sean, what have you got for us this week?
This week I have a tweet from steepetapped.com.
Okay.
Odd name, but he said he tweeted after the fights at the weekend. He was like, "I would love for USADA to test Joe Rogan just once. I reckon the reading would be so high that their equipment would break." It just made me laugh because if you know of the competition that him and his mates do around where they try and lose a load of weight for a month, Rogan was injecting himself with testosterone over that month. Cause
was he?
Yeah.
Did he admit that?
Yeah, no, he told the lads. Yeah,
Not cheating.
I love Jeff Nizitsky. Not really. Joseph is a friend. He would never test positive.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
But yeah, Rogan's on.
Yeah.
I'd say Rogan's on a lot of good shit.
Yeah, I'm sure he is. Like, I know
But
he was
like,
on
he's not
TRT and stuff, wasn't he?
He's not TRT. He's not a competing athlete.
Yeah,
so
no, I've no problem with it.
go for it, Joe.
Yeah.
Looks great. Like.
Although
Joe's like in his 50s.
Yeah, it would be hilarious if they tested him for everything, like
Yeah.
EPO, TRT, HGH.
Yeah.
He's just done everything. Just
Like
blows
50% marijuana, 20% HGH.
DMT.
DMT, yeah. I love them memes.
Yeah.
Did you ever do DMT? Just like someone, just every question.
I
Brilliant.
have one video and then one thing I want to raise to you. So this is a double knockdown.
Oh.
Headbutts. And on the single.
That's it.
Both of them got back off, man. It wasn't
Yeah.
too bad.
So it's a double knockdown via headbutt.
Mm.
I had to watch it a couple of times to actually realise what happened.
Oh.
They were lucky there's no cuts or...
Yeah.
Yeah, and your man in this sort of... I'm going to say orange, they look bright. He sort of got clipped on the temple, like, with a... Pretty lucky.
The referees always look so unofficial at these events, don't they? I know it looks exactly the same, but I don't know, something about it.
It's the yellow stripe.
Looks like you got that t-shirt on top, man.
What promotion is that?
Don't know.
Fight Nights Global.
Yeah, Finance Club.
Oh yeah, it's there on
Come
the
on, I'll do
hashtag.
it.
Apologies.
Fedor, the last emperor. Fedor, no Fedor, no, Molinado.
Double headbutt.
Great
Yeah.
stuff.
Great
But
stuff.
one more thing I wanted to raise. Me and you, Rob, spoke about Jarrell Miller last week.
Oh yeah.
In really weird news, he's not going to get a ban.
Give everybody an update of why he potentially would have got a ban and what the crack is.
Yeah, well, he would have got a ban because he tested positive for everything, really. HGH,
He's the fucking golden snitch, isn't he? Sean's the fucking golden snitch.
HGH, EPO, and another endurance drug. It was like GW1315 or something like that. But you know the way you had the fight was in New York, so his license would have been with the New York Athletic Commission.
Mm-hmm.
But you know the way these fights get announced, and it's so easy generally to get a license. They don't generally apply till a couple of weeks out.
Yeah.
He hadn't actually applied for his license yet, so he wasn't currently licensed in New York, so they can't ban him.
Wow.
And it just made me think that surely that could happen in the UFC as well, couldn't it? What's the difference?
It's like getting stopped by the cops and going for speeding and going, that's two penalties on your license. Well, officer,
But,
I don't have a license.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You'd hope that like all the commissions would, like,
Historically.
say, come together and
That's
say,
it. Like
yeah, he's on everything, you know.
he won't. He shouldn't get licensed anytime soon.
No,
but yeah,
no.
it's just a weird anomaly where there's no overseeing body in boxing to actually
Yeah.
punish him.
Yeah, that's fucking
Yeah.
weird. Should be punished.
Good end there, Rob. That's weird because it sounds weird news.
Nice.
This has been a few good fights. Episode 9, it says here. Is it not 10?
Continue with the
Yeah,
outro
Rob will look
and
at that. So, shout out to Brendan Dorman for joining us and breaking us down and giving us some great insight into Cub Swanson's belts that he now sells. Educating Young Sean. I'm looking forward to seeing your scores on that one, Sean. If you haven't done it already, hit subscribe, hit the notification, make sure that bell is a ringing ding-a-ling-a-ling, babies.
9.
Yeah, it is 9, is
Yeah.
it? Definitely thought it was wrong, so we let it that. But
We won't. Staying in.
as I said, go if you're sick of looking at us, go and listen to us on audio.
Yeah.
It's available in all formats. A few good fights this weekend, and next week's show is a bank holiday again in Ireland.
We're being
We
treated.
are absolutely being treated. So we will be from home. So this time I'll be here on home because I have Wi-Fi this week. So great stuff.
Great stuff.
But until next week, people, you stay classy, you stay cool. 3 fingers, always remember. Peace. So apparently if you press this button somewhere here, it subscribes and you get all the notifications for the show. So hit that button there.
You have to click the bell though to get the notifications
here.
down the bottom.
Make sure you hit it and they get the ringer things because Rob didn't know. So it's the button there or there.
It's somewhere roughly around that area.